You are entering a dimension of sound and mind, a place where the laws of space and time are of little consequence. Here you will find no calendars, and the clocks only read Mystery Hour.
Hello and welcome. It is now 12:09 and you are listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM WMEB Orono, Maine. I'm Roy Michaels. If this is your first time tuning into the Mystery Hour, you may be confused. Well, good. That's the entire point. Tonight we are exploring the legends of lycanthropy from abroad and right here at home in the Pine Tree State. As always, I am broadcasting to you live from the bowels of the University of Maine. And quite frankly, it would be very scary if I were alone. But tonight I've assembled a panel of experts to aid me in my journey into the unknown. I'm joined by Connor Spencer.
Hello.
Joseph Willett.
Hello.
Keith White.
Hey.
And the one and only Wolf stuck around from Orono Pirate Radio to be with us tonight.
What's up? I'm sorry, I'm not a werewolf. I'm just a Jew.
I thought we were gonna have a werewolf on the program tonight.
What a terrible mix-up.
Excuse me, Mike.
Yes.
Excuse me?
And we have Evan Lane, our historian-in-chief, who will be kicking off this night's episode with this week's Mystery from History.
Thank you very
You
much.
happy? Cool.
So tonight's Mystery from History concerns events that surrounded a supposed werewolf of a town called Bedburg in Germany. This came from the late 1500s, around 1589-ish is when the end of the story occurs. But the historical context behind it was that Europe was engaged in a mass religious conflict because of the Reformation at the time. Also, they were having huge problems with the bubonic plague, which had been occurring for several centuries before. But the story surrounds a person named Peter Stube. He was a wealthy farmer who was widowed and had 2 children at the time. He seemed to be a normal enough individual, even at such destructive times as these in Europe. The first instances that would indicate otherwise involved recurring cattle mutilations that were reported by nearby farmers. They said that the cow looked to be ripped to pieces by some beasts or a beast. Soon after this, children and other locals began to disappear, only to be found later mutilated much as the cows had been. The townsfolk blamed this on what they believed to be a pack of wolves. Oftentimes, Stube's victims were young women. Before being ripped to shreds, they would be sexually assaulted. Some of the small children that were his victims would have their throats ripped out by his bare hands or disemboweled and partially eaten. In one instance, Stube was thought to have raped, murdered, and completely devoured a young woman who had been part of a small group that he had killed. By far one of the worst murders he committed was against his son, who he actually brought into the woods and killed one night in a sense of, this horrible, horrible act that occurred. But as a result, what happened after was that the townspeople ordered him to be hunted down. As they were hunting him through the woods with dogs, the dogs finally cornered their prey, who they thought was a wolf originally. When they broke into the clearing and they found what was there, it was actually Peter Stube, who they had no idea had done this. So they took him back to town and tried him for his heinous acts that he committed. And as a result, they found him guilty, and he was tortured on the rack until he let loose the entire story of this murder spree. And so the question is, was he actually a werewolf, or was he just a human committing a crazy, deranged spree of murder?
Yeah, well, did they execute him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you know the exact manner in which he was dispatched?
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. They basically strung him up, and then they took hot irons and peeled bits of his skin off. And then after that, they proceeded to, beat him, and finally he died after that.
And you would say that iron was the metal of choice as opposed to copper or perhaps silver?
Yes, that is the case. It was probably iron.
Well, I think. Wolf, do you have a point?
No, that just totally sounds like the lyrics to a death metal song.
It's pretty brutal.
It's pretty brutal, man.
Yeah. Well, I think it's safe to assume that Stuba was a man. After all, no silver was used.
Yeah, I mean, it's up for interpretation. They thought he might have been a wolf the whole time, so...
What if he's just laying low? Like they didn't actually kill him and he's just hiding out somewhere, waiting. He's with Tupac and all the greatest of werewolf time.
That's a good point.
Are you
never know.
insinuating that Tupac is a werewolf?
Hey, well,
You
save
said
the
it, I
material for the Tupac episode, boys. What are you doing?
I'm gonna ruin everything.
Oh, sorry. That's the season finale.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Stuba, huh?
Stuba.
I have a question for you, Evan Lane.
Certainly.
Let me just locate it. Actually, I'm going to dedicate this question to everyone in the room with me.
Okay.
If there are werewolves in Maine, should they be eradicated or protected under the Endangered Species Act? Should be preserved their habitats for their longevity?
Oh, sorry, Keith, did you have something to say?
I guess my initial point would be how populated, like how large is the werewolf population? Is it getting out of hand? What's the growth chart look like? Are they going to become a problem in 10 years if we don't start culling, or are we looking at the Great Barrier Reef?
Well, here's the issue with that. The problem with werewolves and why I believe that they are an endangered species because they are very elusive in the state. Not many people experience werewolf encounters.
So they're like Sasquatches that way. They're like, we can only assume that there aren't that many of them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because Sasquatch is a species that is protected by the Endangered Species Act.
Right.
Yes, Connor?
Well, werewolves are people, right? I think they should be treated as just another disease. They can go to special facilities and be treated by people who specialize in lycanthropy. I mean, we live in a pretty progressive world now. Maybe we can come up with a medicine for this.
That's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that we live in a progressive world because, as you know, this election season has been pretty heated, and we've had more progressive issues in the mainstream. And so the Democrats and the Republicans, they're approaching their conventions, and they're going to be choosing their nominees very shortly. And despite all of the issues that have been brought up, no candidate, Republican or Democrat, has brought up werewolves as an issue. And do you think that is an area that the American voter should be more concerned with?
Really, I think it's becoming pretty vital because Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are both clearly lycanthropes.
I don't know if Donald Trump is because his hands are very small, and usually lycanthropes have larger hands.
Well, he definitely can morph into some kind of animal.
Oh, yeah.
That much is certain.
Yeah.
No human has that kind of skin.
I do know that candidates are required to release their tax forms, and I'd actually like to use the Mystery Hour platform tonight to request that Donald Trump release a photograph of his hands on a full moon.
I think that's fair for all candidates.
Are you like looking for a receipt for like 10 pounds of wolf's bane to all Trump hotels or something?
No, but that is a very good point. I think that we all know that Sanders, he's fallen behind in the race, but I think
It's very unfortunate.
he's
It's like
also
he's
on the
here.
show with us tonight.
I am. I'm trying to connect with college students, especially those ones who are interested in the paranormal activities of my rival, Mr. Trump.
Well, Sanders, thank you very much for coming on the show.
I'm happy to be here, Roy.
And if I don't want to impose, but I do have a strategy that may rejuvenate your campaign in the coming months.
I'm always open to critique from the youth of America.
Well, I'm 21 years old, so there you go. So I believe that lycanthropy is an issue that pertains to sort of a big driving force of your campaign, and that is income inequality. Because when you think about lycanthropy events, it is the poor people who are affected the most. Homeless people don't have shelter to protect themselves on full moon evenings, and most people in the middle class do not have enough income to buy silver bullets. I certainly don't have any silver bullets. Does anyone here have any silver bullets?
Oh yeah, tons of them.
Yep.
Well,
Fat Stacks Lane over here. I got no silver bullets.
Yeah, I have none.
That is far out of my pay grade.
I'd like to point out you actually don't need a full. The bullet doesn't need to be completely silver. You just need a small bit of silver that can eventually reach the wolf's heart.
This is a game changer.
Yeah.
The truth is, the government needs to subsidize silver-coated bullets so that they are available to every middle-class home, because every middle-class home deserves to be free of lycanthropy.
do you believe that it should be a municipal issue as well, that our law enforcement should have access to silver weaponry in their arsenal, perhaps crossbows, bullets, wolfbane?
As you know, I am firmly opposed to militarizing America's police force. However, on this issue, I believe it may become necessary.
All right, well, thank you for your... Oh, Connor.
Well, I'd like to get a look at your teeth, Bernie, if you don't mind. Not that I don't trust you, but all right, he is fangless. I think we can. I don't think he's a lycanthrope.
No, I'm a vampire.
You're a vampire.
Oh.
You can tell, 'cause I'm immortal.
That is true. That's a good point. So, are you saying that not all vampires have like the big fangs?
No, that's just a very unkind stereotype.
Okay, I've
guess
been
we have
I've been
lots to learn.
enlightened.
Yeah, me too. I think we should probably revisit a new vampire episode
Can-
because of what we've heard today.
I would
Yeah.
like to just point out that it is fantastic that a member of the undead can do so well in a political race in America today. We've really come a long way. I'm quite proud of that fact.
We certainly have, Roy. Thank you.
I'd like to move on to a second question, one of pressing importance that I feel like we need to address. This goes out to Bernie as well. And the question is, Dracula versus Wolfman, who wins?
Wow.
Ooh.
Should we just go around the
Where do
table?
we even begin?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one because they're both really immune to like physical attacks.
What is the arena? Where is this
That's a
taking
good
place?
question.
That's a good
That's
question.
a very good
yeah.
question.
There's a lot of garlic around.
Final Destination, the Smash Bros. Map,
No items or items? Because this is a game changer.
no items.
All right.
Yeah, Dracula, 100%.
Dracula.
Because
Yeah,
he
I
can kind
think
of
so.
fly back up as a bat when he gets knocked over the edge.
Yeah, and it's not. It's actually a common misconception that you need silver to kill a werewolf. You can kill a werewolf without silver. It's just much more difficult. And I think a powerful vampire such as Dracula could pull it off.
Yeah, but Wolfman's very powerful as well. I mean, you have to think of the brute, animalistic force. I mean, he's not... I mean, they call him Wolfman, but there's nothing man about him. He is pure beast. He is wolf.
Well, I mean, you got to think about Dracula. He's also very strong and he's smart. He's lived for a very long time. He's picked up a lot of, just a lot of information on how to battle. Keith?
You got to also think you're on Final Destination, right? You're on a platform that's beaming through space at, like Mach 3 at least. So if you look at the background, you can see you're through space, you're through time. How is that going to affect Dracula, and how is that going to affect Wolfman?
Well, it would clearly affect Dracula's flight abilities.
Well, that's also very true because, like Final Destination, it sort of moves interdimensionally. So what if it moved into a plane where it's not the full moon?
That is
Ooh,
half of
and
the
then
way.
Dracula versus man,
Yeah.
and we know how that ends up.
We know how it ends up every
You
time.
end up with 2 vampires. That's how that ends
Whoa.
up.
What about Dracula versus Michael J. Fox as Teen Wolf?
How?
Is this modern day Michael J. Fox dressed up as
This
the
is
wolf?
Teen Wolf era Michael J. Fox.
Oh, that makes a big difference.
You know,
Okay,
he's,
so he doesn't have
he's-
trouble aiming the stake.
Correct.
Okay.
His aim is perfect.
I still think it might be Dracula.
Yeah,
I would have to agree. I mean, Dracula's probably gonna take that one.
Although it would be cool to see him surf on a car into the arena.
He could probably act his way out of
Are
it.
you speaking for Dracula as Teen Wolf?
Teen Wolf, because of that.
I would much prefer seeing Teen Wolf surf on a car instead of Dracula. That happened in the film, correct?
Yeah, it would be nice to see Dracula do that. See a funner, looser side of Dracula.
I just take a moment and really think, just kind of do a shout out to Michael J. Fox. As you know, he's a world-renowned method actor, and he did go to the Highlands of England to contract Lycanthropy to become a werewolf for the film. And I think not many people in the business would really do that today. Yes, Keith?
Yeah, I actually heard he ran his own stonemasonry shop for like 6 to 7 years before he finally came in contact with someone who could actually turn him into a werewolf. So he went the full distance for that one, and I applaud him.
Round of applause for Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that. Yeah.
Truly an American hero.
Well, it is now 12:25, and I think it's about time for our first break. I'm Roy Michaels. You're listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM, WMEB Orono, Maine. We'll be back shortly. Stick around.
Prayers at night can change to a wolf when the wolfman comes and the full moon shining bright.
a piece of paper.
One of WMEB's longest-running shows is now on at the new time. Tune in to West of the Fields with me, Travis, every Monday from 7 to 10 p.m. to hear 3 hours of the best new alternative and indie rock, along with a set of classic tracks from the past. And make sure to check out West of the Fields on Facebook and download my podcast at westofthefields.bangordailynews.com. WMEB, college radio in a class by itself.
Hello and welcome back. You are listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM WMEB Orono, Maine. I'm Roy Michaels. As some of you may have noticed, we are having an episode that is 100% raw beef free.
Yeah!
Our focus for the evening has been on tales of lycanthropy abroad and right here at home in the Pine Tree State. But before we get back into all of the moon and werebeast talk, I want to take a break by introducing and solving a fresh mystery. For those of you that know us here on the Mystery Hour personally, you will know that Pat's Pizza is one of our most frequent haunts, and actually maybe I was a little bit too loose with my diction there. This is a late night paranormal talk show. I was using haunts figuratively to illustrate that it's a place that we just hang out quite often. We are not ghosts, we are humans. But yes, we go to Pat's quite often, including last night. Which brings us to the mystery. I'm quite confident that many of you listening tonight are familiar with Pat's Pizza, but for the benefit of the uninitiated, Pat's Pizza is an iconic family restaurant located in Orono, Maine. It is often said that an education here at the University of Maine is incomplete without the consumption of several Pat's Pizzas. The business was established in 1931 by Pat Farnsworth, and since then it has become a mainstay in town and is often almost synonymous with what comes to mind when people think of Orono, and has garnered a long and deep history. Our trip to Pat's last night was everything you could possibly expect. Good service, good music, and of course, good pizza. The conversation trailed off late into the night until we realized that very few souls remained within the building, and to the dismay of the staff that I'm sure wanted to go home and sleep, we stayed until close. We gathered our checks and proceeded to shuffle across the long dining room toward the register when the lights began to flicker. I suddenly became aware of the fact that the jovial kitchen conversations that characterized the atmosphere of the evening had hushed into a cautionary murmur that was almost swallowed by the incessant drone of machinery. A certain electricity could be felt in the air. As I reached the register, I gazed downward and was consumed by a profound sense of dread. Directly underneath my nose, upon the time-worn counter of Pat's Pizza, was a basket filled with lollipops. There's a vast amount of flavors to choose from, and frequent listeners of the show will know that Joseph and I share a favorite punctuation mark, and that is the question mark. So I reached into the basket and grabbed 2 lollipops, covered by ambiguous question mark patterned wrappers, one for myself and one for Joseph. It is my understanding that the true flavor of the lollipops remains a mystery, and tonight on the show, our taste buds are now our foremost instruments of inquiry. I know what you're thinking. A lollipop? Well, as Joseph so eloquently put it last night, there's no such thing as a mystery too big or too small. Now, Joseph, would you like to go first?
Sure. Just 1 second. Oh my. It's well, let me describe it. It's red, which is the first time I've ever seen a mystery flavor lollipop that wasn't whitish. Keith?
I'd hate to interrupt you, but I must note that the color doesn't actually matter because the mystery ones are a way for them to reuse the batch that has like the wrong coloring in it. They just put a different wrapper on it.
I did not know that.
So it's not blood.
It's not blood.
Well, it's definitely not blood. It's hard to say. Evan, would you like to give it a try?
Certainly, yeah. Not positive. Not positive. Have to admit.
Let's see. Hand it over.
I
Yeah.
don't wanna
Hand it
touch
over.
that.
Let me.
Okay, here you go.
Let me try that. Oh, it doesn't taste like anything I've ever tasted.
It might be just a mix of two flavors of lollipop. I just don't. I
Could just be
avoid.
like wild berry or
Could be butterscotch and cherry.
no.
I think it has to be
Yeah.
one flavor. It's not like a mix of flavors. It's just like the wrong color.
Huh?
I don't know. My taste buds don't lie. You want this?
Yeah, sure.
So what's the verdict?
I don't know. It's hard to say. There is some sort of berry in there.
Definitely a berry.
Definitely berry. Yeah.
Roy, do you have your lollipop with you?
Yeah.
So berry
And
is
mine's
our
completely
consensus.
Some
It's a
sort of
mystery.
berry.
Yeah,
Well,
the
Keith,
mystery.
Keith, if you would taste it,
I'm not gonna
you would
taste
know.
Keith, just taste it, all right?
Keith,
That has been around
Keith,
here twice now.
that's okay.
I'm
Keith,
rejecting
just
it
taste
both
it.
times.
We're all friends.
Yeah.
Come
No.
on, take a bite.
I'm not tasting that lollipop.
He can smell the wolfsbane in it.
I mean, I pretty intensely wiped it up and
Yeah.
down my
yeah,
tongue.
I'm a little
but-
bit concerned. Everybody here on the program tasted the lollipop, but Keith, what's that about, man?
I really don't want to lick the lollipop that they've already licked. Is the
I mean,
gist of this?
now you're just hurting my feelings.
I mean,
quite frankly.
I don't think you're going to infect me. Perhaps I will infect Connor.
That's a good point. He has been sick as of late.
Yes,
Oh, that's right. Connor does not have a very good immune system.
very true. And
No,
we both
I don't.
work tomorrow.
No
What a
offense.
disaster that would be.
That's a good point. Evan, would you like to try it again?
I'm fine.
Okay. Roy, have you tried yours yet?
I haven't yet. I've been looking at it. It's I'd say it's a seafoam green. I think it might glow in the dark. It looks as if it's made from glow in the dark material. Let me just give it a hand test.
You got to hit it with a flashlight first.
Well, it's not glow in the dark.
It's a huge disappointment.
I know.
If that was the mystery, this would have actually been way more interesting. Than I
Oh, for
thought.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, we can cross off ectoplasm from the list of ingredients for
True.
sure.
All right, well, I think I'm gonna go in for it. I'm gonna go in.
Godspeed.
All right. It's citrusy.
Yeah.
I think this is I think it's lime.
Huh.
I think it's a lime lollipop.
And it only took one person. How do we know he's not lying, though?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Who else is going to look at this?
Evan, could you go in there and taste that?
I don't have the time for that.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nobody
that's
has
fair
to
enough.
do
Just
this.
hold on to it till after the show. I'll take a shot
Yeah.
at it.
I think mine might actually be red and cherry, and I think it just might be a coincidence.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's entirely possible.
It's kind of like on a multiple choice test when you put B like 3 times in a row and you're like, this has got to be wrong.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming
Yeah, they're trying to
from.
throw us off.
I don't think
Yeah.
it has to be the wrong color.
Yeah, it could just be a happy mistake.
I like cherry.
I like, well,
I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this kind of in the corner here on the floor. So, I mean, if you did want to try it, it's gonna be there if you want to.
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
We're
come
definitely
back
gonna try
and-
it.
I'll be over on the break.
You guys believe that there are werewolves in Maine? Yes, Keith.
200% yes.
200%.
That is how certain I am.
Do you have any experiences or knowledge
Like a
to
mirror?
back that claim?
Yeah, actually, I was most recently reading a story from Palmyra, in which this story was actually featured on a television series that I don't even know the name of because I am not worth my salt in reporting. That's Joseph's job.
Paranormal Witness.
Thank you,
Paranormal
Keith.
Witness is the name of the show. Season 3, episode 3 is what you're looking for. It's actually it's about a family up in Palmyra who lived in a cabin, and the story is told from the wife's perspective, and it is simply said that one day they were up there in their cabin, and the husband came in he was spooked is the gist of it. He was very frightened, and his wife asked him, what's the issue here? And he responded that he just saw a large humanoid, like black furry creature walk by his window. And she immediately dismissed it as nonsense because their window is like 7 feet up. And in the story, they explained that they have 2 dogs who didn't react to their presence at all. And at most, they measured the dog. And if the dog was standing up on its hind legs, it would be 6 feet tall. So that basically rules out their dogs. And it featured prominently in the episode is the fact that they discovered it was a werewolf by checking the tracks that it left in the snow. And they determined that it was when it walked by their window in humanoid form. And the second time, they had also viewed it in wolf form in like some underbrush. And the second time, the husband was so frightened that he made his wife stay with him because he thought he was having a seizure or something. Like, he did not believe what he was seeing.
A terror seizure?
Who knows? Like, he just, as far as he knows, werewolves don't exist. And he saw a werewolf, so, I mean, he's obviously hallucinating, right?
That sounds conclusive.
Who knows?
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
The only evidence they have is that werewolves don't exist. So, who's to say?
Yes, Wolf?
I was just providing air quotes.
Yes. Nice backup air quotes.
Oh, good.
He only did it with one hand, so I had to complete the air quote sentence.
Like brackets, it's perfect.
I'm glad you caught that. We do have, on the Mystery Hour, a lot of incomplete quotation brackets. And it's something we're trying to work on.
It's dangerous to mess around with.
Oh, I care so much.
Oh, whoa. Tough guy over
Yeah,
here.
got him.
Come on, man.
Hey, man.
Yes, Connor?
Joseph and I actually were on an expedition over in Ellsworth, setting up game cameras.
Lovely place.
To get love Ellsworth.
Love it.
Love it.
Great place.
Yep.
It's one of our favorites, I think, as a group. We can
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of werewolves there. And we got a number of great pictures on our game cameras of werewolves. And by the way, Joseph is a professional werewolf defense strategist, which is why I had him by my side. And
Of course.
came out unscathed. And I'll put those pictures up on our Facebook page after the show.
What is our Facebook page for those uninitiated?
Facebook.com/Midnight Mystery Hour.
Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Joseph's werewolf expertise. Do you have any survival tips for our listeners tonight in protecting themselves and dealing with werewolves?
Well, as I said earlier, werewolves can be killed by any means, but the easiest is find any way to get silver directly to the werewolf's heart. You could inject it with... I'm sorry, do you have a question?
Are you familiar with the WWF era wrestler Goldust?
Yes.
Could you blow silver particles into their face?
That would be dangerous because that would mean your face is in the face of the werewolves.
I mean, last ditch effort. You could kind of keep it around in a necklace.
Oh, well, what you can do with that is you can put the silver in your own veins, and if it's a last-ditch effort anyway, they're going to bite you, and they're just going to be eating that silver anyway, and they're going to be toast.
Eye for an eye sort of thing.
Yes.
But if you are bitten by a werewolf, the folklore states that you will soon become a werewolf, and you will become a werewolf with silver in your veins. It's kind of like you set your own expiration date on that one. Like, oh,
I think you're
next
kind of
full moon,
toast
I'm-
anyway.
Yeah, if a werewolf's already bitten you, it's too late.
Yeah, you might as well take one for the team at that point.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've never spoken to a survivor from a werewolf attack, so I do
Yeah.
believe that's an accurate assumption.
And if you become a werewolf, wouldn't you rather pass away than terrorize your
Kind of
hometown?
depends
or
on the
whatever?
situation. If you're in a place where you have ready access to a lunar calendar and a bunch of padlocks, then yeah, honestly, it would be okay to be a werewolf for a little bit. But if you were out in the middle of nowhere trying to survive, that would just be like deeply inconvenient to both you and your fellows.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if you get clothing to protect yourself from the wilds, and every time you transform, you just completely tear it apart.
Yeah, I know. Like, that would just be like, yeah. I would just get so bored when I had to like weave myself my 5th grass skirt because my werewolf transformations kept totally destroying the stitching on it.
You'd probably get pretty good at it. Eventually, you'd be a master tailor.
So you're telling me I could do a werewolf grass skirt boutique in like Brooklyn or something?
Oh yeah, I would come to your quilt show. That'd
Oh,
be
cool,
nice.
sweet.
We could actually start making material for werewolves, so when they transform, their clothes don't rip. A more stretchy material.
Ah,
That'd be a good way to.
Spandex?
it's a niche market.
No,
No.
Really not span. I was thinking spandex too. That sounds like a really good idea.
It sounds very
Yeah.
restrictive.
No.
I know. Joseph mentioned that you can buy werewolf scent on the paranormal market. Do you know where we can get our hands on that if we want to blend in?
Careful. The
Yeah,
paranormal
it's kind of dangerous to mention it, and
I do know that
What
there,
website is that?
there are a few Etsy shops that specialize in the werewolf pheromones.
But that's kind of dangerous around mating season.
yeah.
Good point.
That's a good point.
That should be the take-home message.
Etsy is dangerous during mating season.
It is.
Well, it's dangerous all the time, but especially during mating season.
Yes.
And be very careful about getting any paranormal equipment or equipment for the paranormal online. A lot of people will try to rip you off.
Yeah, make sure it's certified.
Yeah.
You should probably have like one of us check it first too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys can contact us and let us know what you bought, and we'll say if it's good or not.
Yeah, I can read off Evan's phone number right now.
You could actually just post it
Yeah,
on the
please do.
Facebook.
Would you like?
Is-
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is silver the only way to deal with a werewolf? Is that just the go-to? Because I know vampires have garlic, crucifixes, stakes, holy water. You don't invite them in. You drop stuff on the floor. They have to pick it up. They untie shoelaces.
They also can't cross bodies of water without being helped by humans. So if you really, really can't kill a vampire, just leave him on an island.
Actually, kind of makes
Very
you
good
think
tip.
like how many islands are in the vast ocean that just vampires just stuck on the islands. A vampire leper colony.
Yeah. All of Hawaii.
I know plenty of islands in Maine are pretty creepy.
Oh, yes.
Yes. There's one island actually that has come into my mind right now, but I can't think of the name off the top of my head. But there is a tree that is claimed to be haunted, and it has faces that appear in the tree. And apparently, when you go there, you can hear voices. I'll have to figure this out. But I believe the tree has since been cut down, and only 2 people now officially live on the island.
That's even spookier. The tree's gone, and there's still only 2 people.
Yeah, that's pretty spooky. There's actually, I don't know, I've actually been to an island with a pretty disturbingly abandoned location. It was like, I think it was called Burying Island. So if you really wanna feel deeply uncomfortable, you should go to Burying Island, and there's a little shack there that's just full of serial killer graffiti. Not literally, but like stuff that serial killers would write on the wall.
Just from the canon of serial
Just
killer graffiti.
Yeah, from the canon. It's some like great quotations of serial killer scripture going on right there.
Yeah, you got the pentagrams, you got the 666s.
You got the chalk outlines with crudely drawn in genitalia. Yeah, you got everything.
A really complete package. That seems
Complete
like a
package.
good tourist destination for the listeners of our program.
Yeah, something tells me they'd love it.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a giveaway. Yeah, Connor?
Speaking of trees and graffiti, out on Old Oak Island in Bucksport, there's a tree that they call the taking tree, which I think is kind of like a plant form of lycanthropy. And what happens is you carve your name and the person you want to harm in the tree, and you do something to yourself, you cut yourself, you break a toy, and then something bad happens to them, and it's really kind of sucking off of people's life forces.
Do you think maybe in a future episode we could do that to Keith?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. I think Keith is all right with it too.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm
If
glad
you say
you,
so.
You mentioned a were tree. That's certainly a non-mainstream lycanthropic tale, and that reminds me of one that I really wanted to bring up tonight, and that is the Selkie, which is from Scottish and Irish folklore. It's essentially a seal werewolf, but it's also known as a fisherman's wife, and I'll tell you why. In water, they are trapped in their seal bodies, but when they come to land, they take on the form of people, and they shed their pelts, and they must bury their pelts and hide them, because if someone goes out and finds the pelt, they now own the Selkie. The Selkie cannot go back to the water. The Selkie is stuck with that person. So say you're a lone soul and you really want a wife in this world, or maybe a buddy to hang out with. You just go out and you try to find the pelt of the Selkie, and bam, you have a life partner right there. And that's kind of the inspiration for the annual festival in Gladensboro, Peltchella, where natives of the town, they get together, and tourists too, and they go out in the search of pelts. It's like a grand Easter egg hunt. Sounds like a lot of fun. What do you think about that?
Sounds like Shadow over Innsmouth.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Sorry, where did you say this festival was?
It was in Gladensbrook, a town that I did just make up on the program.
That's what I figured.
But I was kind of testing the waters for Peltchella. I think as the Mystery Hour, we could host a community event where we have a Peltchella ourselves. The families can come. Maybe we can have a couple bands play.
Live
and we'll go
music.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll go out and find some Selkies. People can bring their sons.
Might you consider an alliterative name, though? There's like Peltapalooza.
Ah.
Well, I didn't want to... Yeah, there is Peltapalooza. There's also the short-lived Peltbane. And the one that really started it all was Peltstock.
The classic.
Classic.
And I did like the Ozpelt as well.
Ozpelt.
That's actually where I got Keith. Maybe I shouldn't reveal this, but
Keith
he's
is
actually
us.
my Selkie.
And that's why he didn't lick the
Full
lollipop.
That's
Circle.
exactly it.
Comes all the way around, Keith. We know.
Sorry. I meant to tell you guys.
Feel betrayed.
It's a good relationship, though. We're very close.
Yeah, there's a lot of, romance between you two. It's nice. It's nice to see.
Yeah, it's, the kind of romance between a Selkie and a human.
Keith,
Yeah.
I have to know, where did this crazy guy try to hide his pelts?
You don't want to know.
I won't say.
All right, well, with that, we are going to go to a quick PSA break. We'll be right back. I'm Roy Michaels, and you're listening to the Mystery Hour on 91.9 FM, WMEB, Orono, Maine. It is now 12:50.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I do the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hello and welcome back. You are listening to the Hour Mystery with me, Michael Roy. Just kidding, you are listening to the Mystery Hour with me, Roy Michaels. Tonight we are discussing tales of lycanthropy abroad and right here at home in the Pine Tree State. And if we are speaking about Maine, I do have a great Maine werewolf story I'd like to share if you guys would indulge me for a few moments.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this one comes to me from the Dillster, Dylan Dooley,
Ooh.
and
MVP.
it is about the infamous crossroads creature, the terror of Bradley. And the story goes a long time ago. He lives in a region called the Crossroads. It's kind of a more rural area of the community. That's important. And in this area, there's a period of time. It's kind of like a reign of terror, werewolf hysteria, if you will, where people were reported hearing awful sounds in the night, as if something was dying, maybe two cats fighting, an owl eating some sort of animal. But then they would see this dilapidated creature kind of just scamper around with like matted flesh. It looked like a walking corpse. And everyone soon began referring to the creature as the Crossroads creature. And this lasted for quite a while. And I remember Dylan telling me that he was quite fearful of this creature, and I don't blame him. But eventually, kind of a morbid twist to the story, the Crossroads creature was found, and it turned out to be a coyote of some sort that was hit by a vehicle and just lived for weeks.
So it wasn't a werewolf?
No, it wasn't. I don't believe it was a werewolf.
Do we have the debunked soundbite?
We don't have that this week.
All right. Close enough.
Is there a possibility that it was a were-coyote?
I think that is reasonable to assume. I don't think that's entirely impossible.
Right.
And I mean, it does depend on what sort of material was used for the grill of the vehicle.
Yeah,
Yes, Keith?
that would certainly make sense because
Yes.
if it was a were-coyote, then it would be hit by the car, and if it wasn't hit in the heart by the silver, it would probably just limp right off. It wouldn't heal instantly, but
Yeah, yeah.
it would just be gross.
And I mean, like, yeah. If I was a not were-coyote, I just would not have anything to do near a rural community. Like, there wouldn't be anything to keep me from going to Coyote City and finding a decent job working in insurance. Coyote insurance.
Probably find some trash to eat, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of coyotes that are in the tax business,
Yes.
which is a crazy time because coyotes do their tax returns
Hmm.
the same time as us. They're just going over each return, trying to just stick that audit.
Yeah. And they have a Tinder, too. It's kind of...
I have been on that.
Yeah. You've been on Coyote Tinder?
Oh yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
How's it
coyote.
looking for you?
How do you use it if they don't have thumbs?
They
Like,
can
do
still
they-
swipe right and
Yeah, you
left.
just kind of have to.
Okay.
Kind of have to
Full
like,
motion.
pat at
Alright.
it.
It's just like like touch screens detect pause, man.
All right.
Yeah, Coyote City with all the trash you can eat. I haven't been there, but it sounds a heck of a lot better than Bradley. I can tell you that right now.
Smells like you've been
The
there.
tier list. The tier list goes.
You
High
heard that
tier
here
is
first.
Ellsworth.
We love Ellsworth, hate Bradley.
I've lived
Exactly.
in Bradley. Not a lot of werewolves there.
Do you think you will live in Ellsworth at some point?
Oh, definitely. When I get out of college, straight to Ellsworth. That's my plan.
A lot of trash to eat. A lot of high-paying jobs.
A lot of trash. High nutrient
Oh, yeah.
trash, yeah.
They're not throwing out like
High nutrient
mines.
trash. White trash, you might say.
Yep.
Maybe, would that be wheat trash?
I would like to just say that, I mean, if you are a activities planner in Ellsworth, maybe someone in the municipal board, the town council, consider sponsoring Pelcella, the biggest paranormal event of the summer, hosted by the Mystery Hour. Don't have a venue yet. Maybe Joseph's backyard. It's gonna
Yeah.
be fun.
His grandparents
my
have a nice
backyard is
pool.
also- we do it. They do have a nice pool.
Yeah.
Thank you for remembering that.
Yeah,
Connor.
we could have it there.
Yeah.
Are we settling on that name? It can't be Peltomania.
Peltapalooza?
Peltapalooza.
Peltapalooza.
That was wolves.
I actually love that one.
I like Peltapalooza.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think you got smoked on
You
that
have
one,
the
right?
like alliteration in there. I have a pop filter on,
I do
so you
not.
can't really hear it well.
Yeah, I don't either.
Thank you, Wolf.
Now, can other animals become a werewolf? Like, could a rabbit become a werewolf?
Well, it'd be a were-rabbit.
Not if it's turning into the wolf.
Oh, so you mean like it'll supersede its own biological like creature and just become a wolf?
Well, wouldn't it
No,
become...
like during the full moon, would it become a wolf?
Dude,
Oh.
like,
Like if I was a werewolf, I'm not, Evan. During the full moon, I would become a wolf. Can a rabbit or any other, animal be infected by?
It's like 29
disease?
days, you're normal, and then
well, dude, like linguistically, it would be just a rabbit wolf, or like a Lapin wolf, because were is Old English for man, so
Oh my god!
werewolf is man wolf. I know that from the third Harry Potter book.
Really?
hair is pretty
Yeah.
close as well.
Harry Potter
Yeah, the
What-
Prisoner of Azkaban.
is that?
Never heard of it, huh?
That's the television series.
It's just a 7-book series. It's all about werewolves, and it's really informative. And you
Yeah.
should give it a shot.
I should get into
The
that.
main character, Sirius Black, does some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's basically like it's about a well-known werewolf researcher named Harold F. Potter, who is very deeply involved in werewolf culture. Like he is not a werewolf, but he spent a lot of time sort of living with werewolves and seeing their ways and really trying to bring the heart of this kind and sensitive people to the world.
That sounds
So
like
it
an
was
amazing series.
Pretty much it in a nutshell. He goes to a werewolf school, and he tries to blend in the best he can. But sometimes
Yeah.
everyone knows you're human.
Yeah.
Was that the? Do you know if that was the source material for Dances with Werewolves?
Oh, I'm not
I believe
sure.
it was interpreted somehow, like loosely at least.
Dances with Werewolves. I'm imagining, like, yeah.
That was with Kevin Spacey, right?
Really? Was it?
I can't contest you on that one.
Yeah.
I think it was Kevin Costner, but I can't.
I mean, he's in so many films.
He's in so many
these
films.
days. Unlike Michael J. Fox, who really picks and chooses his films, and just really produces some great stuff. Teen Wolf, check it out.
Truly one of the greatest actors of the 20th and 21st centuries.
Did you know the source story behind Teen Wolf? The story that the film was actually based on?
No,
not at
let's
all.
hear it.
Well, it was actually based on from the first werewolf story, or so the academia believes. The legend it's a Native American legend, and it tells of a shapeshifter who roamed the forest, who was known as Wiskakachek. And he was a friendly spirit type, and his dominant form was that of a wolf. And eventually, one day, two members of a nearby tribe, they were hunting in the woods, and they met Wiskakachek in his human form, and they had a very successful hunting day, and let him share in the bounty. They fed Wiskakachek, and he was very pleased. And a week later, though, the boys saw him again, and they were very hungry because it was the last time since they caught the deer, and Wiskakachek was in his wolf form. But he remembered their kindness and told them that he could offer them the power to shift into a wolf to help them catch their meals. And of course they did not believe him, but he helped them out, and they eventually agreed to have him the power on one condition, that they only use the wolf power to hunt, and only when it's necessary. Well, that, if you're familiar with Teen Wolf, that eventually just fell through. They overhunted the nearby deer population. They went to excess, and this made Wiskakachek furious, and he told them that they were no longer to be able to transform at will. And when they did transform, they were a completely mindless creature with no control over their abilities, and they were cursed to walk through the woods naked the day after from losing their clothes, which is an issue we talked about earlier in the program. And that's sort of how Lycanthropy began, because to kind of get back at him, they didn't want to be alone in this world. They didn't want to be alone with their suffering, so they started biting humans, and that would convert them into the werewolves we see today.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Really, really digging into the folklore of that
kinda
one.
I
Too
wonder
bad
how
they ruined it
Wiskak-
for everyone else,
Oh, sorry.
though.
I wonder how Wiskakachek would feel about our current factory farming environment.
Oh, yeah.
You'd probably curse us too.
Yeah,
I think
I
we
mean-
would technically deserve it at that point.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have not personally caged any animals, so I think our hands are free.
Yeah, but we facilitate it.
Yeah, I mean, you send, when you eat the product, you send a little blip through the marketplace.
Yeah.
And it's like, do more of this.
Yeah?
And Wiskakachek is probably a socialist too, so he's like collapsed the free market. And plus, like, you ever see that movie Cannibal Holocaust?
Yes.
Yes.
This is Animal Holocaust.
It's true. Also, could be synonymous with Cannibal Holocaust.
It could be.
Some very horrible animal brutality.
Horrible animal
love
brutality.
turtles
Yeah, in that
film.
movie.
Yeah.
That poor turtle, man. That poor
You know,
turtle.
every time I talk about Cannibal Holocaust, it leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth.
It does.
Do you want to have a cheerful wolf story to end this evening?
I do have a question for you, Roy.
Shoot.
Can you give us your best wolf howl?
No.
All right. Does anyone want to do it?
Well, why don't we do it all at the same time to end out the show? We'd all just have one howl.
How much time do we have left?
Negative 2 minutes.
Negative 2
Negative 2
minutes.
minutes. Well,
Okay,
we just
so
all
time.
have a group howl. And
Yeah.
we'll just end the show like that.
I don't trust that I'm not going to be the only one who howls. You guys plan this ahead of time.
I hope I'm the only one who howls. I want the
I
attention.
promise I will howl.
We've got to
Alright.
do the station ID too, so we could all just howl WMEB.
I don't know if I can do that.
I don't know if I can howl and
But can we
talk.
say that afterwards?
I'm open to the idea. I do a lot of stale, top of the hour stuff on the show, and I really think that, we got the minds of Pirate Radio and Mystery Hour working together to do one positive thing for the station. I think. Let's do it.
Roy, could you say it while we're howling? Is that okay?
Maybe say like, here's, this has been the Mystery Hour, etc., etc. Here's a howl to go out on.
What
How
about
about-
Jazz Wolf, though?
I'll do my stuff, right, and then we howl, and then we just go into the outro song.
That sounds like a plan
That
to
sounds
me.
perfect.
I can howl to that.
Well, it is now 1:04 a.m., which means that this week's Hour of Mystery has come to a close 4 minutes ago. We'll be passing along the torch to Robo DJ, a form of artificial intelligence designed to serve mankind and its desire to party. I'd like to thank the gang. We got Connor,
Hello, goodbye.
Joseph,
Goodbye.
Evan,
Goodbye.
Keith,
Good night, everybody.
and Wolf from Pirate Radio.
Goodbye.
Did Bernie Sanders leave? Is he?
Goodbye.
And,
I'm sorry, I'm incapable of speaking softly.
Well, listen, guy. I mean, I like that you're on the program, just breaking my levels all night. And then I'd like to thank Jimmy Ozog for composing several original pieces of audio to be used on the Mystery Hour. And furthermore, I'd like to thank the wonderful people behind the scenes at WMEB for making this show possible and helping us grow along the way. And finally, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for sticking by your radio late into the night. Beware the moon. There's 24 days until the next full moon. Are you prepared? And...